We are obviously going to be looking at severe weathers. Remember that today is day 2 of your project date, so today is December the 1st. This lasts for 2 weeks, your project, so it takes you all the way up into December the 13th. The last page with the chart on your project booklet is a chart that's sideways, and it has 11, 12, 13, and 14. Those are days. If you look, you would see it says day and time. So you'll go ahead and put the dates on there. But the only thing that you're doing for homework today is documenting the clouds and the weather for today, day 2. Drawing a small picture of the clouds on your chart. So you should be doing that. Any questions? No. Then you draw what you see, or you put no clouds. Sometimes there are not any clouds. All right, so if you put your note sheet in front of you, we're going to talk about severe weather. All right, at the wrong spot, actually. My apologies. Now, we talked about severe weather in somewhat. You guys did your projects where you reported severe weathers while you were in the eye of the storm. And that was to give you a little bit of idea of where we were going with this. So you had some idea about severe weather, but we're going to go a little bit more in detail with it. As we're going through our notes, it's going to be your responsibility to fill in some blanks. I'm not going to always stop and say, okay, time to fill in the blanks. You kind of got to pay attention, and everything does go in order. But to start us off, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a short video from the movie Twister. Just watch it. Now, this is a meteorologist that actually goes out so that he can, it's called Storm Watcher.
There's a beautiful landfall cloud forming about 2 miles east of here.
Notice that's a piece of technology to measure the speed of the wind.
Stan, I'm confirming a storm moving southeast. Bizarre patterns, really picking up intensity. Possible twisters. I'm on concession 18, about 3 miles from the interstate.
Yeah, okay, I got you pinpointed, Bob. And I'm following the system here.
Stan, got a twister. It's forming about a mile from here, heading south.
Well, don't get too close. You're right, man. This is bizarre. It's unpredictable to succeed.
Mommy, look what I made for you! Sarah, this is just beautiful!
All right, so as you can see, that was just a short video of a twister forming there, and the storm watcher actually goes out into the scene and looks for it. So a lot of meteorologists put themselves in danger. You all did the weather forecast in the eye of the storm. He's really in the eye looking for the storm so that he can report it back to the news so that they can report it to the people of storms in the area. So let's take a look then. Looking at storms. Storms can be extremely powerful. They can also be strangely beautiful. So if we look at it here, we'll see that your storms actually can be really pretty, but it's very powerful. They also can be extremely destructive, which is why meteorologists really pay close attention to these storms and severe weather events. But when you look at nature, a picture of it looks really pretty, but you wouldn't want to be in the midst of something like this. All right, some thunderstorms can bring floods. Sometimes there could be very little rain. Or it can spawn into a huge hurricane or a violent tornado. Everyone should have written something. That's the way it's going to go.
Right, what?
Nope, nope, and nope.
What was right?
All right. Notice it talks about tornadoes, but there needs to be some atmospheric conditions. Tornadoes are not always going to form when there's rain or there's wind. The atmosphere has to set the right conditions for it to be so. When we say right, we don't mean right like the perfect day, but the perfect conditions where a tornado will actually occur. One of them is on the screen here. This is your first one. Moisture in the lower to mid levels of the atmosphere. A lifting force to cause the air to begin rising. That's all you need to write. You don't need to write the most common lifting force is heated air near the ground. Just the first part, a lifting force to cause the air to begin to rise. And third one, unstable air that continues to rise. So all you need to write for the third one, unstable air that continues to rise. Remember, stable means it stays in one spot. Unstable means that it's continuously moving. So unstable air that continues to rise. These three things are the conditions that need to be there for a thunderstorm to occur. Thunderstorms are not going to occur without these conditions.
What was the last one? Let's take it back to the last one.
All right, whenever a thunderstorm happens, two things occur. One is when there's enough electron flow between the clouds and the oppositely charged earth. So there's positive charges and there's negative charges. Those are opposite charges. That's going to create some visuals. Lightning, very good. So one component of a thunderstorm, meaning one thing that's going to be there when there is a thunderstorm, is lightning. Lightning happens when there's two opposite charges. And it creates a spark. How many of you plug something in the wall and sometimes a spark happens? Because of the charges are firing against each other. The other thing that needs to be there is when those charges are happening, the air is going to cool and the molecules are going to move together and their air is going to contact one another. It's going to be so rapid that it's going to create that cracking, booming sound, which is thunder. So two things that are going to be there in a thunderstorm are lightning and thunder. Well, when does a thunderstorm occur? Let's take a look. So a thunderstorm is how far away? 1.2 miles away. For every how much time? 5 seconds elapsed. When you see the thunder, 5 seconds later, when you see the lightning, 5 seconds later, you're going to hear the thunder. Now, thunderstorms could be just a major thunderstorm or a minor thunderstorm, but sometimes when they're so severe, it could produce extreme weather. Some extreme weather that could come from a thunderstorm would be a tornado. Now, I'm going to read this to you, but I do not want you to write this, even though it says describe. We're going to break this down. So thunderstorms can produce other freaky weather events that sometimes can be more destructive than hail, flash floods, or lightning. We see those things, you're like, oh, I want to get in the house. I don't want to be hit by hail. I really don't want to get really wet. I don't want to be struck by lightning, so I'm going to go in the house. Not anything major, not anything that's going to actually be detrimental to your life. But if the conditions are right, meaning all of the conditions that you wrote on the other time, plus the conditions that may occur for severe weather, for a tornado, if the conditions are right, you're going to have supercell thunderstorms, and they can produce tornadoes. Or tornado is a violently rotating column of air. That is what you want to write. A violently rotating column of air rising to the cloud. It's right there. A violently rotating column of air rising to the cloud. Yes.
Is it true that lightning is more likely to strike water than?
I'm not really sure.
And it's true that you can turn on like your faucets at home?
Not necessarily true.
Is it like can all of it happen at once, like hurricane,
Probably not. Not at once. So you should have written a violently rotating column of air rising to the clouds. Here's a fun fact that you might want to jot down. Tornadoes come from a Spanish name tornar, which means to turn. And of course, they obviously turn. Tornar, Tornar. Tornar. Yes, that means tornar means to turn. Torno means I turn. All right. Now, thunderstorms can produce tornadoes, but again, the conditions have to be correct. Some of the conditions required for a tornado would be a wind shear. Shear, think of scissors. Scissors, the shears of a scissors go opposite of each other. So this is when wind moves in different directions at different altitudes. My wind shear didn't pop up. Again, when wind moves in different directions at different altitudes. The next condition, don't write anything yet, just look at it so you can see how you're going to actually fill in the blanks. The next condition is when sinking air pushes one end of the column towards land and rising air pulls on the other end. Remember, it's unstable air. They're always moving. They're doing something different. And this causes the column to spin faster. On your notes, you have sinking air pushes one end of the column towards land while the other end does what? Nope. It says while the other end of what? Not of the land. Look at the words, young people. Say it. Pulls. It's talking one end of the column, pulls one end of the column. The column is the wind. The column is the wind of the tornado. That pushes towards the land. The other end pulls. And then it says this causes blank spinning. Faster spinning. Another condition is when the spinning column, again, that column, remember, is that long wind that's twisting. So spinning columns join, and again on your notes you should have spinning columns, join a cloud above it. It is called a funnel cloud. Why is it a funnel cloud? Because right when you see the cloud, it looks like a funnel is coming from the bottom of it. And when a funnel cloud touches the ground, that is when it's called a tornado. Tornar, to turn. Everything below it.
So are Twister like a smaller version?
Twister is a tornado. And here is a wind shear. Notice the winds are going in opposite directions. All right. Thunderstorms can also produce tropical cyclones. A description of a cyclone. This is when low pressure weather systems characterized by circular wind motions that rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. You can write that. Actually, you can just write low pressure systems rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Now again, thunderstorms can produce tornadoes. That's a severe weather. A thunderstorm can produce a tropical cyclone. But there are two types of tropical cyclones. Can I move?
No.
Give it one moment. The two types of tropical cyclones are typhoons and hurricanes. No, you can get it in a minute. Don't write. When a thunderstorm converges and a tropical cyclone occurs in the western Pacific Ocean or off the coast of China, it's called a typhoon. Let's stop right there because we need to identify what a typhoon is. In our own words, what can we put a typhoon is? Take a look at that portion up to the comma and let's put it in our own words. What does the word converge mean? Join together. So when thunderstorms what? Join together with a... We're talking about a typhoon. How is it going to join with the typhoon to create a typhoon? Tropical cyclone. So when a thunderstorm, you want to start writing. When a thunderstorm meets and a tropical cyclone occurs, So a typhoon is when a thunderstorm meets and a tropical cyclone occurs. In parentheses, where do they occur? Western Pacific Ocean or coast of China. We will not have a typhoon here in North Carolina. I'll give you a moment and then we'll talk about hurricane. And it says, and when these storms are born off the coast of Africa or travel across the Atlantic Ocean, they are called hurricanes. So, what does it mean? When what storms? Typhoon, a thunderstorm, and a tropical cyclone happens where? Coast of Africa and across the Atlantic Ocean. So when a thunderstorm and a tropical cyclone happens off the coast of Africa and across the Atlantic Ocean. When a thunderstorm and a tropical cyclone happens off the coast of Africa and across the Atlantic Ocean, that would be a hurricane. Now, hurricanes feed on hot, humid air, so summer and early autumn is considered hurricane season. Underneath hurricane, I want you to put early autumn and summer equals hurricane season. This is important when you're thinking about traveling to areas that are off the Atlantic Ocean or around the African coast. This would be any time between what? What times of the year would you want to be worried?
September.
Okay, September. That's early autumn. What else? Where? August. What else? November. November is late autumn. June and July. And even sometimes in October. And you'll notice when you're booking, if your family's booking a cruise or going somewhere, it tells you the places that you're going to. It will say hurricane season between August through mid-October. Some areas may include November. All right.
But you keep poking Aria. Aria keeps saying
No,
no.
no, no. You don't need to touch anybody's things. You will get it later. All right. Hurricane conditions have to be present for hurricanes to happen. Although I did just tell you that when a tornado or a tropical cyclone meets in a specific area, that's considered a hurricane. But the only way for that to happen is if these conditions are there. Warm ocean waters. Hurricanes are very difficult to predict because of the fact that it's not going to happen when it's already crazy outside. It could be a nice day, the water's warm, the beach is nice. Warm water is one thing. That is a condition for hurricane. Air spins and rises. Within the system cools because it releases air. So, when you're on the beach, a nice cool breeze is now blowing. And you're liking that breeze because you're on the beach and it's hot and you're just enjoying yourself. The more of that breeze, the more the air is around you is going to cool. If I brought a fan in here, it's going to cool down very quickly because the fan is moving air around, correct? That is what's here. So far, these two conditions are vacation conditions, correct? But when the wind speeds up to 74 miles per hour, all of these are conditions where a hurricane can occur. 74 miles per hour is faster than what you should be driving on 85. I know some of your parents probably go a little bit faster. However, and I know it's true because your brother said the same thing last period.
Yeah, he be going like 80.
Now, some parts of the highway, you could go a little bit faster when you're traveling. 70, 75 is pushing it. All right, before we actually talk about the blizzard, let's look at an actual blizzard in Boston, Massachusetts. What do you think the temperature's like? Freezing. This is the type of cold that gets in your bones, not just your skin. You feel it inside of you. I've lived in New York, yes. Where you need double layer socks, thick boots, your toes are frostbit. You don't have gloves on, your fingers are going to be freezing. Even if you have those thin gloves that we can wear here, not good enough. The wind is blowing and the streets are icy. Yes, Chicago is the windy city. Notice they're walking backwards to stop that harsh wind of hard snow hitting on their face. This girl's probably crying. And not because she wants to cry. And then she starts to want to cry. Come on, girl. This is in front of the hospital. The ambulance still has to get where they need to go if there's an emergency. Police still have to fight crime. It's hard enough to walk in that you think it's difficult to drive. Yeah, because it's hard to see. Not all people have Forerunner. This is the Aftereffect. Everything on the coast is frozen.
So we're in
Looks
Nantucket
like
right now.
Antarctica.
Everything's covered in sea ice. Look at these big icicles here. Just break them off. ATM machine. Oh, actually, oh my gosh, there's a bird here. I wonder if this bird got battered in the hurricane force wind. Completely frozen bird. Wow. It's Mother Nature.
All right. So, other extreme blizzards. So far it says winter storms that bring what type of temperatures? Cold would mean high or low? Low temperatures. What type of winds? Strong or high winds. What type of snow? Heavy snow. And what type of visibility? Low or poor visibility. And there you are. And this concludes our lesson.